How's it going here, and welcome to my camera comparison between the iPhone 16 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro XL. So this will be the very best of Apple up against the very best of Google for this year. And what camera improvements have they actually made? We're gonna check it out in this video. But first off, just a couple call outs. Number one, I'm using 4K video indoors here, and I'll switch over to cinematic video so you can see what that looks like and compares like in the same situation. And also I'm using the speech enhancement feature on the Pixel, and I'll be toggling the audio mix feature on the iPhone so you can hear what the advanced audio features sound like as well. And now, as far as the actual camera improvements, first off with Apple, they're introducing a new ultra wide angle sensor going from 12 to 48 megapixels, and they're claiming this will give you better low light performance, but check out the camera samples and be the judge for yourself. They're also claiming that they have a new 48 megapixel Fusion main sensor with the same camera specs as last year, but they're saying this is their second generation of that same sensor. And maybe more importantly, their brand new A18 Pro chipset has a brand new ISP or image signal processor, along with a new camera architecture, which Apple is calling Apple Camera Interface. And all this really means is that they're able to process the data faster off the sensor and onto the chip, meaning you should be getting zero shutter lag even at full 48 megapixel photos, and you get some real-time previews of their new photographic styles in the viewfinder, so you can adjust the color and tone of the image and actually save that for point and shoot use later. And so they also have a new telephoto sensor going from a 3x to a 5x zoom with a slightly larger sensor. So you should be getting farther zoom out of that as well as crisper shots. And now as far as Google is concerned, they also seem to have a new ultra wide angle sensor, still at 48 megapixels, but some slight spec bumps. So you can take a look at the photo samples and also see if you see any improvements there. And just like Apple, they say they're on their second generation of their main 50 megapixel sensor, going from the Samsung GNV over to the GNK sensor. But more importantly, they also have a brand new chipset, the Tensor G4. And so we'll see if, just like Apple, if their image processing is any better with this new and improved sensor. And they also have a new selfie camera, so going from a 10.5 megapixel to a 42 megapixel front-facing camera. So hopefully we get some better selfies as well from the Pixel. But all that is just the camera specs. What really matters is the photo and video quality. So like I always do, I'm going to show you a bunch of photos and videos in both good and low light conditions so you can judge for yourself which of these two camera systems is best for your camera needs. And with that, check out all the photos and videos and let me know what you think.
That's how I got that heat, let's go.
Alright, so this is going to be a rear video test of the iPhone 16 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro XL. As you can see, I'm actively recording on both of these rear-facing cameras here. And we're going to start out at 4K 30 frames per second with the ultra-wide-angle cameras on each. As you can see, I'm recording here at this Pink Salt Lake, so hopefully some more scenic views and colors for you to check out and compare on both these phones. And so again, this is the ultra-wide-angle camera, and I'll move into the main camera on the iPhone and now on the Pixel. So you can see what that kind of compares to and looks like here side by side. I'll pan around so you can get a feel for both of these cameras. And I'll move into now let's go into the 5x telephoto on the iPhone. And we'll go 5x telephoto here on the Pixel. So you can see how these telephoto lenses compare at both 5x range. You see some of the birds there as I pan around. And let's go ahead and test some of the zoom here. So on the iPhone, we can move up to a max 15 times zoom. And on the Pixel, let's go into a matching 15. So this is about 15 on the Pixel right now. So you can kind of see what it looks like on each. I know the pictures maybe not be completely lining up here, so I'll just kind of pan on both. And let's go here and max 20 times on the Pixel. Well, let's back these both out to 1 times here on the Pixel, and let's get back to 1 times here on the iPhone. And so I'll go ahead and pan around this way so you can kind of see what it looks like with some other colors. You can see some of the dirt road there, as well as some of these greenery here along the marsh, as well as shooting more directly into the sun and what that does to the camera quality. And we'll go ahead and test out some stabilization as I walk here, so you can compare that side by side here at 4K on both these phones. I'll just start jogging. So I'll hopefully try to stress out the stabilization a little bit so you can see what that compares to side by side here at 4K. So let me know what you think about these cameras here on the iPhone 16 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro XL here at 4K 30 frames per second. So here's a quick 4K 30 frames per second clip on each. I'm testing the Pixel's video boost out, so compare that to the regular iPhone 4K 30 frames per second video here. Now, interestingly enough, the video boost on the Pixel actually records at 1080p on the base video, and then in the cloud it'll upscale and enhance the video there. But just calling that out, but this is what they label as their 4K 30 frames per second video boost on the Pixel, again compared to the iPhone's standard 4K 30 frames per second. And so we can go ahead and move into, let's see, 5x here on the Pixel, and let's move to 5x here on the iPhone, so you can see what the telephoto lens looks like here on each. And we can go to a max 15 times there on the iPhone, and I can move into 15 times here on the Pixel as well. So no, again, the video doesn't line up at this zoom, but I'll try my best here. There we go. And I'll move into max 20 times there on the Pixel. So I'll just try to get some footage on the iPhone, and then I'll shoot it on the Pixel here. I'll pan around. And what I noticed on the Pixel video boost is that it really cleans up the zoom here. So it looks really grainy in my viewfinder, but in video boost, it actually looks pretty good. So let me level up the iPhone video so you can see that in comparison. And let's back both these out to 1x. And I'll just pan around this way so you can kind of see some other colors. So some of the browns and greens of the marsh here against the skyline, as well as shooting into the sun. So there's a 4K sample of the iPhone versus the 4K video boost on the Pixel. All right, so here's a test of the artificial background blur on both these phones. So cinematic on the iPhone and blur video on the Pixel. And so again, rear-facing cameras, just so you can see what this looks like. Let me know how the artificial background blur is looking and how all the edge detection is around me right now. The sun is coming directly in front of me, so this should be the optimal lighting conditions for this type of video here. Now pan around so you can see how the image adjusts into the changing light now with the sun off my left and now with it directly behind me. So let me know how this is looking out here in broad daylight, afternoon sun here. Some pretty nice conditions to test in, and I'll just go ahead and walk just so we can see how this effect holds up under some kind of shaking or potential movement here. So let me know what you think about cinematic video here on the iPhone and blur video here on the Pixel. So here's an advanced stabilization test. So we've got action mode on the iPhone, active mode on the Pixel. So I'm just walking with the phones in front of me here at a steady pace. And so I'll just start jogging so we can see if we can stress out that stabilization and see how steady each of these phones can keep the picture. All right, just a quick test of action mode on the iPhone, active mode here for video on the Pixel. However, so here's some front-facing video from the iPhone 16 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro XL at 4K 30 frames per second. So I'm outdoors, as you can see, so you get some good idea what this looks like in some good daylight here. And the sun is shining directly in front of me, so it should be providing some good light. So all the exposure and everything should be looking fairly good, except for the sunlight maybe a little bit too harsh. But I'll just go pan around here so you can see what this looks like here in the changing lighting conditions. So a little bit of sun coming off my left now, and now directly behind me, what that does to exposure, the picture quality, and everything else. So as you can see, I'm next to a pink salt pond right there. So that's kind of purplish, pinkish color. So you can see what that looks like, if that's kind of the right color to your eye here on both phones, as well as against the contrasting blue sky there. But I'll just pan this way and just start walking to give you an idea for what stabilization looks like here on both these front-facing cameras. I'll just jog to try to stress out that stabilization, so you can see what that looks like here side by side. So there you go, front-facing camera footage on the iPhone 16 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro XL at 4K 30 frames per second. Everyone, so here's a rear video test in some low light with the iPhone 16 Pro and Pixel 9 Pro XL. This is being shot at 4K 30 frames per second. This is the ultra wide angle camera to start out on each. So you can see what that compares to side by side. Let's go ahead and switch into the main lens here on the iPhone and the main lens here on the Pixel. And so I'll just hold here so you can see what that looks like side by side. And I'll just pan around so you can see what it looks like here up into those trees and into that really bright street light there, and see how these cameras are handling that amount of light. Also, speech enhancement is on the Pixel, and I'll play with the iPhone's audio mix feature to see if we can get some enhanced audio on that and how that compares to the speech enhancement on the Pixel. So if we pan around this way, we'll start walking. So we test stabilization, especially in low light. That's when you tend to see more micro jitters, so pay attention to that. And we'll go over to a darker area instead of those really bright lights and see how it's performing here. So a little bit less light, but as always, both phones are trying to brighten up the scene more than it really is. And we'll move around this corner and you'll see a really bright street light here again. So you can see how it handles from bright to dark to bright as we pull up here in this path. We'll point up at the night sky so you can kind of see how that's looking like, how much noise is being introduced by the cameras trying to brighten up the scene or not. And we'll pan around this way down this alley, which is being illuminated by that light, but a little bit less and not directly into the light. So you can see how both these cameras compare here. So let's go ahead and keep moving on as well. And we can see how this looks into a little bit less light as we go over past the bright street light here. We'll go again more into an even darker area to see how these cameras kind of compare here. So here's how it compare in a lot less light, much more darker on this side of things. So you see it on that way, and we'll pan back around this way. So there you go, 4K 30 frames per second test here in some low light. Everyone, so here's a quick test of the Pixel's night sight video. This is at 4K 30 frames per second compared to the standard 4K video on the iPhone here. Just want to see what the night sight video comes out to look like. If it's going to boost up the video too much and be too noisy, or if it's actually going to enhance the video to something that's looking a lot better than the standard video. So I'll point it in the bright light here to see how it stands out and if it's going to enhance the video and it's going to handle that really bright light or not. But we'll walk over here to someplace darker to see how the night sight video looks. And this could be a useful feature if you're trying to take video of friends and family at maybe events like concerts or maybe a dimly lit restaurant. So I just want to see what it does in some various low light situations. Of course, there's a lot of light, and back here I'll point it on this way. There's very little light, just the accent lights along the walkway that way. And similarly this way, same thing. So pretty dark out this way. We'll see how the video comes out. But let me know what you think about night sight video here on the Pixel, how it compares to the iPhone. Do you prefer night to look like night, or do you think this is actually a useful feature? Let me know. So here's a front-facing camera test in some low light with the iPhone 16 Pro and the Pixel 9 Pro XL. This is being shot at 4K 30 frames per second. And right off the bat, you'll see a couple different things here. Number one, the iPhone, as usual, is skewing a little bit warmer in color temperature, at least in the viewfinder. And the Pixel has a little bit wider field of view here. It also has the option to crop in a little bit, so if you want to get tighter, you can do that. But I'll go back and move back out so you can see the widest possible field of view here. As you can see, I'm filming with some really bright street lights behind me. And at least in the viewfinder, the iPhone is really blowing those lights out. So unless it corrects that in post, it's really flaring those lights out a little bit more than the Pixel here. But let's just go ahead and start walking so we can test the stabilization here. And also note that I have audio speech enhancement on the Pixel. And I'll also use the audio mix feature here on the iPhone, so we can compare the enhanced audio features on both these phones as well. And we just passed a little bit darker area, so you can kind of see how it goes from a little bit lighter to a little bit darker and how that handles that lighting situation there. If I pan back around this way, you'll see a whole bunch of street lights behind me, so you can see how these front-facing cameras are handling that. And again, to me, what I see in the viewfinder, the iPhone is definitely flaring out those lights a lot more than the Pixel. And we'll go back over here to this little bit darker area where there's not as much lights around me. And you can see how this is looking here in this particular setting. Again, iPhone looking a lot warmer than the Pixel here. But do let me know what you think about this front-facing camera quality in this low light situation. And also let me know what you thought about the entire camera comparison. Which phone did you think did better, and which one would you prefer to use on a daily basis? And let me know why in the comments. Also, if you have any other questions or comments about either of these phones, leave a comment down below. I'm happy to engage you and answer what I can down there. And as always, thanks for watching.